So this All Levels Vinyasa class is inspired by the national animal of Costa Rica, which is the perezoso, or the sloth. And I had the privilege of seeing more than a few sloths, even though they're nocturnal, got to see them and got to see several of them moving. And from a mindfulness and yoga perspective, I found the way that they moved to be really inspirational because it was not as slow as one might think, but extremely intentional. There was no jerkiness. It was like very smooth. And the transitions were integrated as much in their movement as like the arrival of where they were going itself. So we're going to try to bring that same sort of awareness, particularly into the transitional moments of our practice, and really thinking about kind of embodying with that mindful state of mind every moment of the practice, not just the kind of like final arrival into the postures themselves. So we're going to start in a very sloth-like posture of child's pose near the back of the mat. So you can widen the knees, big toes together, settle into your child's pose. I'm going to keep my head and torso lifted just so my sound doesn't get muffled. But as you settle into your child's pose, you can feel the arms reaching forward, feel the hips melting onto the heels. And as a sort of accompaniment to this practice, I have a quote from the book The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings by Thich Nhat Hanh. And in that book, Thich Nhat Hanh says that when we practice mindfulness or yoga, we should practice in a way that does not tire us out. But instead, we practice in a way that gives our bodies, emotions, and consciousness an experience of rest. And so thinking about, what it means, thinking about that energy of the sloth, where we're not going to practice in a way today that is tiring ourselves out, depleting ourselves, but instead giving us an opportunity to experience rest even in a physically driven practice. We're going to start to shift forward into puppy pose. So let your hands shift to the front of your mat. The hips are going to stack over the knees. You may need to walk the knees in a little bit and then melt the heart towards the mat. Let your spine really hang almost like a hammock here. You could bring the forehead to the mat or even draw the chin forward with the chin on the mat. Then we're going to do some heart lifts and drops. So as you inhale, I want you to lift your heart away from the mat and create like a long diagonal line from your tailbone to the tips of your fingers. And then exhale, melt the heart back down to the mat in that hammock-like shape. Inhale, pull the heart away, find that long, lengthened spine. Exhale, melt the heart down, hammock. One more time, lift the heart slightly, feel that elongated, strong spine. Exhale, melt, feel that stretch underneath the armpits. This time as you lift the heart, walk the hands underneath you, finding a tabletop position with your spine. Feeling that stability in the tabletop position, and then we're straight away going to move into elongated table. So we're going to take the right leg back behind us and then lift it up parallel to the floor. And then once you find your balance here, shifting your left arm forward, left thumb is going to point up towards the ceiling. Now I want you to think of your body like a seesaw. So as seesaws tilt forward and back, they move in one solid piece. So you're going to seesaw tilt yourself forward until your left pinky finger just taps the mat. Your right leg is lifting. And then you seesaw back, the right toes tap, your left thumb lifts. And then seesaw forward, fingertips tap, back leg lifts, and then seesaw back, arm is lifting. One more time with that seesaw tilt forward and the seesaw tilt back. And then coming back into a neutral position with your spine, Utthita Dhanurasana, begin to sweep your left arm back, bend your right knee. See if you can clasp hold of the top of the foot and then push the foot into the hand, lift your toes up towards the ceiling, Utthita Dhanurasana. Think of pulling the heart forward, feeling a little bit of a back bending type energy in the pose, even lifting the chin slightly, feeling that throat stretch. And then we're going to keep a hold of the foot as we gently guide and tuck the right knee behind the left. Once your right knee lands on the mat, release the foot. Walk your hands diagonally to the right and let the hips shift back into a nice outer hip stretch. I want you to think of here, I find myself almost kind of swaying my hips from side to side a little bit, almost encouraging a little bit of a massage-like sensation in the outer hip region. Letting yourself rest here for a moment. And then as you shift your weight forward, walk the hands back onto the middle of your mat. You may need to kind of shift your feet more onto your mat space. You're going to tuck your toes, lift the hips, and walk the hands back into a crisscrossed uttanasana at the back of your space. Now, depending on kind of how you've been in your body recently, this may be a really tender position. You may need to bend the knees to kind of soften this experience. Or if this is not feeling too intense, you can actually push the arches of the feet down a little bit more actively. Wherever you are, I'm going to encourage you to release your head, hanging here in this crisscross uttanasana, one more full breath. And then if you close your eyes, open them, walk the fingertips a little bit forward, lift up onto the balls of the feet. You're going to walk your hands to the right to unravel your legs and come to face the back of your mat in an uncrossed uttanasana. We're going to do some struts here, kind of massaging the back of the calves. So drop your left heel, but keep lifting your right heel high, and then switch. Lift your left heel, you're high up on the ball of the foot, and drop the right foot down. And switching from side to side about 3 more times each foot. Hearkening back to that image of a sloth moving. It's not just about the lifting and the lowering of the heels here, but about every part of the movement. So feeling into the nuance of the transition and appreciating every part of that transition actually has something of value. We're going to start to lift up high onto the balls of the feet. We're going to do this whole warm-up sequence in reverse direction on the second side. Starting by walking your hands to the right, you'll crisscross from the tops of the thighs, finding crisscross uttanasana on the other side at the back of your mat. We'll dangle here for a couple breaths. And I just want to normalize that in my body, this side of the crisscross feels a lot more intense. So even though it seems really subtle to just switch the cross of the legs, it may be for you that one side feels radically different than the other. One more breath here. And we're going to start to walk ourselves forward, walking the hands forward, bending the knees, let the knees settle down. And we're going to start with that outer hip stretch. So my feet and shins spin a little to the right, my hands walk to the left, and then I kind of sink my hips up and back, finding that deep hip stretch. And again, if it feels interesting or good, you may explore a little swaying. That swaying motion, almost like a kind of massage-like action in the outer hip. And then we'll start to lift the heart, walk the hands back into the center of the mat. May need to kind of spin the feet back onto the mat. And then I really like this way of entering Utthita Dhanurasana. You're going to look over your right shoulder, right hand spins around, pick up the left shin. Sometimes this is actually an easier access point, and then you kind of unravel as you push up into your Utthita Dhanurasana. Keep pulling the heart forward, lifting the chin, opening the front of the neck and the throat. One more full breath. And then you come into your extended table, reaching left leg back, right arm forward. Get strong and stable in that extended table. And then we're going to do our seesaw tilts as we tilt forward, remembering to move the body in one solid piece, and then tilt back. And then tilt forward and tilt back. Last time to seesaw tilt forward and seesaw tilt back. Neutral spine, lower the right hand, lower the left knee, tuck your toes, press on up to your first downward facing dog of the practice. And again, seeing if you can pay attention, even me just right there, I noticed that I did this like really quick transition up to down dog. I kind of bypassed some of those moments that could be of real value in my body in the transition between the all fours and the down dog. So thinking about those lessons from the sloth, not bypassing the transitional moments. I'm going to start to move into the sun salutation part of our practice. We'll start with a couple half salutations. So start to look to the front of your mat. This is an incredible opportunity for a mindful transition. So lift up onto the balls of the feet, step your right foot forward one full foot's length, and then fully plant that right foot, lean back and feel the stretch in the right hamstring. Then ball of the foot, creep that left foot forward, plant it, lean back. One more time each foot, lift, shift, plant, and lean. Maybe coming up onto the balls of the fingertips or on blocks as you shift, step forward, plant. And finally arriving full Uttanasana at the front of your space. Moving with the breath, fingertips to shins, lift up halfway. Fold and release. Sweeping the arms out and all the way up. And hands to heart center. And just do one more half salutation, sweeping arms wide and up. And then folding over the legs. Every part of the sun salutation valuable. Folding in, head heavy. Rising up, paying attention to every bit of space that you pass through on the way up. Bringing that energy into heart center. 2 Surya Namaskaram A's. Sweep the arms out and up. Folding over the legs. Inhale, take a half lift. Step it back to your plank position. Pause for a moment. Feel the strength here like you did in your all fours. Then feel the weight ever so slightly glide a little bit forward, lowering with control through your chaturanga. Feel the heart pull through the upper arms as you press into your upward facing dog. And then drawing up and back to downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. Practicing in a way that doesn't deplete you, doesn't exhaust you, but gives you an experience, body, emotion, and consciousness of rest. Inhale, looking to the front of the mat, walking or stepping the feet forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Arms sweeping wide as you rise. Closing it out. One more Surya A. In breath. Out breath. In breath, filling up the breath with movement. Out breath to plank and through chaturanga. In breath in that back bend. Out breath in the down dog for 3. And 2. And 1. Looking forward, smooth travel. Half lift and fold. And rise. Heart center, 2 lunge salutations, those classic 12 movements. Release the arms, take your breath in. Exhale, palms together. Arms reaching forward, up, and a back bend that feels nourishing, not too depleting. Folding over the legs. We'll lead with the left, step it back, and then gently lower the left knee down. Arms floating up, in breath, filling the whole movement. Out breath, taking you back to your down dog. We'll do knees, chest, and chin here to change up the vinyasa pattern. So feet don't move as you lower knees, chest and chin. Sliding forward, lifting to a cobra. Passing through all fours to down dog. And then we keep it moving, left foot forward, right knee down. In breath, arms come up. Out breath, arms down, and step forward. Coming all the way up, back bend available at the top. Close. Last sun salutation, release the arms, in breath. Out breath. In breath. 2. Folding 3. You'll lead with the right, step it back, low lunge. 4. Down dog is 5. Knees, chest, and chin. 6. Back bend. 7. Down dog. 8. Right foot forward. Lunge. 9. Left foot forward. 10. Back bend. 11. Close. 12. Release the arms, close the eyes, taking a little micro pause here in the middle of the practice. Practicing in a way that does not lead to depletion, doesn't lead to exhaustion, but instead gives us an experience in our bodies, in our emotions, and in our consciousness to access rest. Beautiful. Blinking open the eyes. Great time to adjust your clothing, get a sip of water. We're going to go into a relatively long, it's not inordinately long, but it's a relatively long standing sequence. And my hope is that we'll have the time to go through it twice on each side. So the first time will be a little bit slower, a little bit more kind of slow motion, sloth-like. Second time, since you know what's coming, really focusing on that fluidity from one pose to the next. I do want to encourage you, there's a nuance here. Clearly, we are not in a restorative yoga practice. We're in an all levels vinyasa practice. Effort is present. So what does it mean to hold the nuance of knowing you're putting forth some physical effort, but still trying to practice in a way that is not depleting your energy sources, that is still maintaining a relationship with some of that restfulness and a sense of ease? Okay, so that's kind of your own question to answer, but we'll see if we can feel into that as we move through the sequence. So we're going to start at the front of the mat. There's going to be a lot of these kind of windmill type movements with the arms, so just know that that's coming. We're going to move into chair pose, Utkatasana. So we're going to bend the knees, sink the hips down, spine stays nice and long, but you're going to take your left arm, reach it down and back alongside your side body. Right arm is going to reach forward and up, bicep by that right ear. So you have opposite arms moving in a diagonal. We'll take 2 more breaths in this Utkatasana fierce chair pose. feeling that oppositional energy moving down through the left, up through the right. Now you're going to come to stand, windmill your right arm back and down, left arm forward and up. Right hand comes to the back of the right thigh. Left arm is reaching up and back. And then I'm ever so subtly turning my head and my upper back to look down and over my right shoulder. One more in-breath here. I'm going to windmill my arms down, left hand to floor, right arm to ceiling. Right leg stays straight, but left knee bends deeply. So I'm in a twisted Uttanasana, pushing my right foot down into the mat to feel that deep outer leg IT band stretch. Give yourself one more in-breath here. As you exhale, turn your head to look at the mat. I want your left hand right in front of your left foot. You're going to sweep your right arm down to the floor. And as your right arm sweeps forward in front of you, step your left leg back to a high lunge. So you have your right arm reaching forward. The bicep is right by the ear. The left hand is down. The left leg is back and heel is extending to the back of your mat space. 2 more breaths in this high lunge. As you breathe here, I want you to think of pulling the front of your abdomen kind of away from the top of your right thigh. Coming into Cleopatra pose, turn your right toes out, drop your left heel down, reach your right arm to the back of your mat, get that beautiful outer leg stretch. Notice if that left shoulder is totally collapsing into the left ear. Push the mat away. Yes. We're going to step back to a down dog. Right hand to mat. Right leg comes back to meet the left. And we've done this in some recent practices. We're going to tuck ourselves into a ball at the back of our mat, but we're going to twist today. So we're going to turn our knees to the left and then squat down at the back of our mat in a little tucked position at the back of our mat space. Now, as I shift my weight forward, my left foot comes forward into lizard pose outside my left hand. Take a moment here. I want you to think of that hammock spine from the beginning puppy pose. Drop your pelvis down. Think lift through the heart, lift through the chin. So there's a sort of arc through the body here. Beautiful. One more big breath in. And then take this into Skandasana skater pose. Left toes turn in slightly. Pivot your right heel down. Lift that right arm and reach to the back of the mat. Skandasana skater's position. One more in-breath. You're going to transition to a downward facing dog with a leg variation. So right hand comes forward, left ankle over right knee, so you have a pigeon leg in your down dog. As you settle in here, I want you to gently guide your left inner knee back and out. Melt the right heel down. Walking to the back of your mat, find a bonsai tree at the back of your space, bending your right knee. You could keep hands on the floor. You could bring blocks under them, or you could start to test your balance here. We're not doing flying pigeon today, so you can just rest comfortably knowing we're not going to go there. But we are going to take this into more of a pigeon hybrid. So as your hands come back to the mat, walk them forward to about the front third of your mat, and then settle your right knee and shin down. You may need to reposition your left ankle. We want to keep the left leg in this pigeon. We're going to do half toe stretch, half pigeon. So left leg is in pigeon, and then I'm going to sit my hip to my heel in a toe stretch. You could stay upright as I'm showing now, or you could snuggle in kind of down on the forearms here. Breathing into this outer left hip. This is one of these poses that it's like hurts so good, I think is the phrase. There's a real intensity in what I'm feeling in my body, but it also feels really good at the same time. And then we're going to make a smooth sloth-like transition forward into classic pigeon pose. So I'm going to slide my hands forward. I may even use my hand to kind of guide my left shin to the front of my mat. and then just reach my tail feathers back. And we're gonna keep this pretty active today. So I'm gonna stay upright. I'm here for about 3 breaths in this Kapotasana. And see here, for me, there's a lot of tendency to kind of lift up and out of the pose, and actually see if you can drop in. So particularly that left glute, I'm trying to actually settle into my body. Yes. We're gonna swing this back leg around for Janushirshasana. So right leg swings out and around. I hug that left foot up and into my right inner thigh. Reach the arms up, head to knee pose, reaching forward and find this beautiful forward fold. And even appreciating the kind of micro movements inside of the pose itself. So actually breathing in the pose. And then we're going to transition to Ardha Matsyendrasana A. So I'm going to reach my fingertips forward to start to lift up, and then guide my left knee up, my left foot across, and then start to access my spinal twist. You could keep it pretty gentle, just holding the knee, or you could hug around, and then finding that spinal twist. Sloths have an incredible amount of stamina. They're actually very good at managing the energy that they do have and expending it over long periods of time. So they can stay up in trees, hanging, climbing for an entire week without needing to take a break to come down out of the tree. Start to turn and look forward. We're going to keep that left ankle on top. We're going to cross our ankles, and the objective is to come into Uttanasana crisscrossed without using our hands. So crisscross the ankles, tuck them in, and then forward fold into that crisscross Uttanasana. Hopefully this feels, even if it's mildly better than when we did it earlier in the practice. And then last pose in this sequence, you're going to reach your right leg up and back for standing splits. And I'm going to let you have more of an open hip today. So the hips do not have to be totally square. Let them open a little bit so you can really reach that right leg high. And then I want you to take the right fingertips forward until the right elbow straightens, but the fingertips are still down. And then lift and reach your left arm behind you, very similar to what we had in our chair pose at the beginning of this sequence. One more full breath right here. And then you're going to lower and sit right down into your chair pose. Right foot behind the left, bend the knees, sink the hips. You windmill, left arm forward, right arm back. And here we are starting the second side. Breathing 3 breaths. Feeling the front of the body supporting the back of the body. Windmilling up to standing, slightly twisting that Uttanasana. Left hand just gently holding onto the back of the left thigh. Gaze is down towards the mat over that left shoulder. Windmilling down, right hand finds a block or the floor. Right knee bends. Left arm reaches to the ceiling. Keep pushing that left foot into the mat, activating that length along the outer left leg. Slowly turning the head down to the mat, checking that your right hand is in front of your right foot. And then you're going to sweep left arm down, right foot steps to the back of the mat, left arm reaches forward, high lunge. Feeling that opposing energy, just like figuratively, we're feeling the effort and the ease. We're feeling the rest right alongside a little bit of exertion. Cleopatra pose, turn the left toes out, right heel drops down, reaching left fingertips to the back of your space. Keep pushing the floor away through the right palm. Stepping it back to downward facing dog. And then we're preparing for that squat twist. Knees move to the right, hips go to heels, squat. And then right foot steps outside the right hand, lizard pose. Let the pelvis drop, heart lift, chin lift. So there's this kind of beautiful, I don't know the name for it, and I'm not going to remember it. Many of you are probably smarter than me, but it's like in geometry where they do these like tracks, and it's got this gorgeous curve is what we're doing with the body here. Maybe you'll text me later and tell me what the name of it was. We're going to step into our skandasana. Drop the left heel, open up, find your skater's pose, breathing into that hip mobility. And then stepping back into downward facing dog with a pigeon leg. So right ankle over left knee, encouraging that right knee back and open. Walking the hands back. I actually find this transition to be one of the hardest, which makes it one of the ones that has a deeper opportunity for me to really pay attention. Finding your bonsai tree. Maybe playing with balance here. And then that hybrid half pigeon, half toe stretch. So the hands walk about to the front third of your mat, settling the left knee and shin down. If you need to kind of readjust that right ankle and leg, do so. And then find that half toe stretch with that right pigeon leg and take a couple breaths. We're going to get really playful second time around and see what's possible from this position. That's all I'll say for now. More to come. And then we're going to come forward into pigeon pose, sliding forward, really graceful transition into our Kapotasana, keeping it active as we keep the spine elevated. Swinging that left leg around, Janu Shirshasana A, right foot kind of hugging up into the left inner thigh, reaching the arms up, and then definitely in my top 3 yoga poses of all time, folding in. Starting to lift up into Ardha Matsyendrasana. One of the things I found really interesting, lift the right knee, cross that foot over the leg, and then find your twist, is how intelligent the design of sloths are for protection. They are, they grow algae on the outer fur for camouflage. They only use the restroom like once a week, and they bury it so that people can't smell it. Predators can't find them. And they have all these things that are ultimately designed. Look forward, release your twist. Keep your right ankle over your left. See if you can do this transition hands-free. It's easier the more you tuck the feet in. So dropping back and then tuck and forward to that Uttanasana crisscross. We'll think about all of the different behaviors and habits that we have for our own protection. Sweep your left leg up. Standing splits. Hips can be open today. I'm being nice. Nice open-hipped standing splits. Reach the left fingertips forward till the elbow straightens, and then elongate that right arm up and back. Beautiful, 2. Sometimes in our yoga practice, we do these things that are kind of protection mechanisms for our body, for our energy. They're not all bad. Start to settle down into your chair pose. Left foot by the right, bend the knees, sink the hips. We're going to start to move through this whole sequence one more time, a little bit more fluidly, seeing if you can link. Left arm is back, right arm is up. Transitions are this opportunity for us to really protect our bodies with mindful transitions. Lift up, windmill the right arm back to the right thigh, left arm up. And then folding forward, left hand down to block or to floor. Left knee bends, right leg stays straight. Reach the right fingertips up. Look down at the mat. Make sure that left hand's in front of the left foot. Sweep the right arm down, left foot steps back. You're in that high lunge. Cleopatra pose. Turn the toes out. Drop the left heel. Breathe into the hip stretch. Now see, you're going into that down dog with that squat twist. Can you do it fluidly? Right hand down, right foot steps back, but then as you get there, bend the knees, squat at the back of your mat, and then step the left foot forward outside the left hand. Lizard pose, hips drop, heart lifts. Skandasana, dropping right heel, reaching right arm back. Down dog with that pigeon leg, left ankle over right knee. Walking the hands back, bonsai tree pose. Staying really skillful in those transitions. Walking the hands forward, hybrid pigeon toe stretch. Now I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to slow down our pace a little bit here. I'm going to encourage you to try to get on the forearms, okay? And I'm going to encourage you, much like we do flying pigeon, we're going to attempt a baby flying pigeon, but we're not going to have tail feathers because most babies don't have tail feathers. That's why, okay? They're just little balls of fluff, which is what we're trying to do here. So forearms are going to be down. You're going to try to hook that left foot outside your right bicep. You shift your weight forward and then see if you can hover and lift everything up. So it takes incredible abdominal strength, but you have to shift forward and then you push your left shin a little bit on the back of your arms to round the spine like cat pose and float up. I'll do it one more time on this side. So hook the foot, push down through the forearms, push down and float. Beautiful pigeon pose. Slide forward, left leg forward, right leg back. We may pay for that pose in bruises on the backs of our arms. Tends to come with the territory of that one. Back into that smooth, transitional rhythm. Sweep that right leg around. Reach the arms up. Fold over the extended leg. Coming up, spinal twist. Left foot outside the right leg, twisting it around. Looking forward, keeping left ankle over right, tucking the feet in as you shift and stand. Take a moment in that crisscrossed uttanasana. And then standing splits. Right leg is going to fly. Right arm is going to reach forward. Left arm is going to reach back. You might play with hovering the right fingertips. And then last side of the sequence. Right foot lands next to the left. Chair pose. Right arm reaches down and back. Left arm reaches forward and up. Windmilling arms. Up, back, and around. Looking over the left shoulder. Windmilling arms forward, right hand down, right knee bends, left fingertips reach up. Looking down, sweep the left arm down, step, left foot back. Nope, right foot back. Skate, Cleopatra pose. Turn my left toes out, melt my hips. Step back to down dog. Knees are going to turn right as you twist hips to heel. Right foot outside right hand, lizard pose. Melt the hips, lift the heart. Skater's pose. Left heel down, reach that left arm back. Down dog with the pigeon leg, right ankle over left knee. Walk the hands back, bonsai tree. Coming forward to that funky half pigeon, half toe stretch, little hybrid position. Don't get ahead of yourself, no arm balances yet. Just enjoy this position. And then if you're wanting to play with the little baby flying pigeon, my right foot is like a crowbar hooked around my outer left arm. I shift forward, I push down into the back of the arms to lift and hover the left leg. Sometimes I get a little Charlie horse way up here in the top of my abdominal muscles. And then we come into our pigeon pose. Right leg shifts forward, left leg shifts back. Sweeping that left leg around, Janu Shirshasana. Folding in. Spinal twist. Crossing right foot outside the left leg. Twisting it around. Looking forward, crossing the ankles. Here's a little bit of pop quiz trivia for you. Crisscross Uttanasana. Unlike yogis like us, float your left leg up, standing splits. Your left arm is going to come forward. Your right arm is going to come back. Unlike us yogis, sloths don't sweat. They don't sweat because body odor would bring the predators to them. It's one of their protection mechanisms. We're going to come slowly and mindfully all the way to the mat, hands down, feet down, settling yourself into your seat. That's one of the reasons why sloths are almost always hidden in the deepest canopy of the forest, because it's cooler and they don't get as hot. We're going to have our feet in front of us a little bit wider than hip distance apart. Hands behind you with the fingertips facing forward. Do a little ab work with a bonus of kind of a front body opening and shoulder stretch. So as you inhale and think knees forward, that's going to do all the work. As you exhale, try to keep your hips from touching at all as you scrape them back and straighten your legs. You got 3 more. Sweep forward, move like a sloth. Slower is harder. And then sweep it back, straightening the legs. Try to keep the hips from touching. 2 more. Forward and up and back and lift. And last one, forward and up and back and lift. Settle the hips, Paschimottanasana, move any extra flesh out of the way. Keep your legs a little bit in that shallow V. That's intentional today. And then reaching forward, finding whatever part of the legs you can comfortably hold. Now, before you round the spine, give yourself one more inhale, lengthen, look forward. And then now let everything round and fold. And then just check in with whatever part of the leg or the feet you're holding and just soften the grip. We're not striving. We're not trying to get anywhere, after all. The hands are just there as a little extra support. They're not there to play a game of tug and war. And we're going to make our way onto our back for our final posture before shavasana. So you can start to round your spine, rolling through, nice and smooth. And you'll keep rolling all the way onto your back. And then we're going to do a brief spinal twist. So the right knee is going to bend a little bit farther away from you than typically you would. Hug your left knee into the chest for a brief moment, and then bring your left foot on top of your right thigh. So it's like you have like a little double mountain hill. Take your arms wide, palms down, and then drop both legs to the right, spinal twist. This is a beautiful twist kind of to get right into the middle region of the spine. Really yummy. And then let yourself float back up and into center. To transition between sides, hug both knees briefly into the chest. And then second side, lower that left foot. Make sure there's enough space that you can comfortably place the right foot on the top of the left thigh. Arms out wide. And then drop the legs to the left, twist. And then coming back up to center, extending the legs, just about 1 minute of shavasana today. Putting the body into that position where it can be completely at ease. Maybe just doing a brief check-in with the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands, letting go of any tension there. Remembering that we practice not to exhaust ourselves, not to deplete our energy, but to recall both in body and emotion and in consciousness an experience of rest. As we prepare to close the practice, we can start to wiggle the fingers and toes. And then in your own way and in your own time, gently guiding yourself back up into a comfortable seat. And bringing the palms of the hands together. We ask that the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light, which sounds like these 4 words in Sanskrit. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Victory to all of our practices.